All right, so we've got the cases for the 91 here, and we've got some cracks right here that goes through. We've got not really any other damage on this part, just a little bit of a hairline there that we can hit with the TIG. But then we've got a chunk of the case missing right here. And we've also got the clutch cable holder that's broke off. So we're going to try to do some welding on that today and see how it turns out on the video. Not by any means a great TIG welder. The work on this bike is the first TIG welding I've done, and it's a little different. So some of the things I've learned is, as far as cleaning the aluminum, tried to do it, you know, like you do when you're welding carbon steel, because that's what I'm used to, but you can't. So we did get a stainless steel brush and pull that in one direction to try to get that cleaned off. We've got it cleaned, and we're going to see how that works with the TIG welding. So you guys just bear with me on this. Alright, so we got the exhaust spring tab. Well, there wasn't one, so we worked a piece of weld up there, and then we're going to shape it a little bit on the sides, cut it down, and then drill us a hole so we'll have a new exhaust spring holder. All right. It don't look too bad. Drill us a hole through it. So we've got a new exhaust here on now. So that should be in good shape. We've got this patch made, which we'll have to surface this flat with everything else, but we got the bulk of it down. So that'll be sealed up nice. Clean this up just a little bit more so it looks good when everything is vapor blasted. We've got the piece that was missing patched in. I'm not really going to mess with the inside because that's not going to bother anything, and if anything, hopefully it'll give it a little extra strength. So we'll leave that extra material and then we'll have to resurface this to make sure it's flat, but we got it pretty close. That'll keep the dirt out. And then we've got our clutch cable holder, which isn't perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. And I think once we get everything vapor blasted to where it's the same texture and cable in it, you'll never even know. So the cases are good. We'll get these cleaned back up and ready to put together. Alright, so we got the engine cases welded up. We've got our parts that came in today for working on the pipe, so we're going to focus on that. And we've also got the Caswell 3-gallon zinc plating kit that showed up from Amazon today, so we'll get that unpackaged and see how well that's going to work, because these 3 new are unavailable. So we're going to get them cleaned up, get them replated, and see how those turn out. Alright, first thing we'll do is get the old O-rings off. Alright, so you could probably pretty easily cut these rubber. So I tightened it just to where it started bowing it and stopped, and that should create enough of a seal. So we'll get a little bit of air pressure on here and then we'll get ready to start the heat. So I'm not an expert on this, never done it before. So see, we put the caps on, mounted it down, pressurized the system to 30 to 35 psi, check for leaks. Suggest starting at 40 as the normal internal pressure. A good pressure to maintain is 75. And bleed off if it goes above that. So we'll see how this works. So far, that looks pretty damn good. I wasn't sure if the MAP gas would have enough heat. So I'm not sure how bad this will be on the chrome, but we had to get the dents out, so we'll deal with that. And then worry about the chrome afterwards. We do have a leak right here, so we're about to patch that, weld that up. That's good to know. I don't see any other major dents, so worked out pretty good. Might play with this just a little bit more. so we never really went above 70 psi. I think those came out pretty good. So we'll let this cool down. Weld this leak that's right here on that spot right there, and then we'll see what we can do with the finish on this thing. So while we're letting that cool down, we'll look at getting our Caswell system set up and check on zinc plating. So this system for the DC power supply and all of this was about $400 on Amazon, which I know is a lot, but if you have bolts that are not available anymore, like these two, or a lot of them that need work and you want them back right, you're looking at probably at least $100 used. This is about $50 just for the front axle. So we got at least $100 there. Then when you start figuring in all the motor mount bolts, things like that, you could very easily spend this on one bike. Whereas if we can get this setup working, then we can keep doing this. So not bad for $400, and we'll see how well it works. All right, so we've got our degreaser mixed, our solution mixed. The anodes are in, one on each side, so that we're getting even disbursement. The pump is in, circulating water. We've made our holder. This bolt has already been cleaned and degreased and heated up. So we're going to put it in the holder. So that we have a little bit of an angle and we're not trapping air bubbles in it. We'll set that down in the solution. And we've already got our we've got our power supply going, so we'll leave that in. Directions on this are pretty good, so they send you a complete little book on how to do it. So we'll give this a minute and see how it turns out. All right, let's take this out. Rinse it off. Looks a lot better than it did. We'll buff that up a little bit. Some bad pitting on it, but not much we can do about that with this setup. So we'll go ahead and take our rear swing arm bolt. There's not near as much pitting on that one. And see how that turns out. But I think overall that's quite a bit better, and at least it'll be protected. I think that looks pretty good. Get this front axle on there. See how that turns out. Alright, so let's get the front axle out, see how it looks. I think it's looking pretty good. Those are a whole lot better. So we'll get this on there, but where we got a lot smaller surface area here, we'll turn the amps down. Check back in a minute. All right. And we got a little bit of etching here, so we'll put this back in, but still looks pretty good. Give that a few more minutes. Hey. So I think overall we turned out pretty good. So we'll start working on powder coating and plating the rest of the parts, getting ready to put her back together. So I just wanted to catch you guys up. This is one of the clutch covers that we got. Everything looks pretty good with that. But just getting all the parts cleaned up, almost ready to start putting this thing back together. We've zinc plated, polished, cleaned, welded, resurfaced. There wasn't a part on this bike that didn't need either rebuilt, rewelded, replaced, recoated, something done to it. Not a single part. So we were doing the other clutch cover, and I wanted to show you guys, on the KX there used to be a washer right here on the frame that hold the brake return spring for the rear brake. And what I did to replace that was just ground it off, put a little hole in it right there before it was powder coated. But whoever had this bike before decided that it was a good idea to drill a hole through the clutch cover and put a bolt through it as a holder for the return spring for the rear brake pedal. For the love of God, please don't do this kind of stuff. I don't even know what to say about this. So that's one more part that's going to have to be welded and hopefully repaired. If not, that's one more case that'll never be able to be used again. Oh dear God, but they even welded it. So I'm just at a total loss here. There's weld splatter right there. You can see where they've ground it down. You can see pitting from the weld there. So I'm at a total loss. I don't understand. The things I have seen on this bike, dear God.